Now, the new FarmIQ Chief Executive, Will Noble, wants to put farmers at the centre of everything that the map-based technology platform has built itself on. Coming from a career out of technology, and this is mostly in software, which is described as software as a service, so this is SaaS, in its niche markets, but he says that his role gives him a feeling of connection with a rural lifestyle similar to what he experienced growing up. Despite FarmIQ being around for 10 years, Will says that it is at a very exciting point in its evolution, and Will joins us now. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on Sarah's Country, Will, and welcome to your new role at FarmIQ. We're just getting Will there on the line. Hey, my apologies. Welcome, Will, to the show, and welcome to FarmIQ.
Thanks for having me.
Now, let's go back in terms of your background that you described there in connection to your rural and lifestyle background, and I can pick up a bit of an accent, so I'm assuming in the UK.
Yes, that's right. So I was born and brought up in the New Forest, which is on the south coast of the UK. If you think of the UK as a big triangle with an island hanging off the bottom, the New Forest just there above the Isle of Wight at the bottom of the country. And
background in technology.
So my family were farmers on one side, builders on the other. It was the building part of the family that sent me off to university to study architecture. Decided that's not what I wanted to do with my life, and could see that the internet was not just going to be a passing fad. This was in the late 90s, and so I got into IT, and I've been in IT ever since. But I've always had a profound connection to my family's agricultural roots, which we've got dairy farmers in the family, beef finishers, and also market gardeners and an arable in the family as well. So yes, coming to FarmIQ, where technology and pastoral agriculture come together, just feels like a really wonderful confluence of all those previous influences to me.
For those who are unfamiliar with the technology FarmIQ, can you give us a bit of a background in its history to date? Because there has been some challenges for FarmIQ to get to where it is.
Yeah, so FarmIQ was established 10 years ago as part of a primary growth partnership funded out of the government, and the aim at that point was to prove that by providing farmers with intelligence layered over the data that they were collecting on their farm, being able to use that intelligence inside the farm gate to make decisions, that you could improve and build greater value through the primary value chain. Meaning that ultimately farmers would get a better return for their investment. So what that means is by pulling together the lots of different pieces of data that you have on a farm, and data can be carving information in a notebook. It can be the inputs that you're putting onto your paddocks. It can be the dates that you're moving stock from one paddock to another. It can be live weight gains that you're measuring with your Gallagher kit in a heading unit. Bringing together all of those data points and presenting them as meaningful intelligence to a farmer, so that they can make better decisions about how they operate their farm maybe next year based on the results that they got this year, and being able to connect why they got the results they did.
It's very easy for corporates to have uptake in technology and force this through their systems. But when it comes to our family farms, our mum and dad operations, how do you increase that behaviour change to want to see the profitability and the benefit of efficiency on these smaller operations? That really must be FarmIQ's next big challenge.
That is a tremendous challenge, and it's not just around the ability to perhaps increase your margins. It's this idea of that using technology in that setting can sometimes be seen as a challenge to somebody's farmerhood, if you like. That why do I need technology to tell me how to farm better? And actually, it's not about that. It's about acknowledging that all of the best athletes in the world, all of the best teams in the world have coaches and nutritionists and a team of people around them that help them make better decisions to be the best in their game. And look, there is a shift happening in those mum and dad and intergenerational farming families where people are adopting things like Zero linked to Figured. So using those farm management pieces of software which flow data through into FarmIQ, which then turns the output of what's happened during the year into intelligence to which a farmer can look at, and it helps them make those better informed decisions, like I was talking about. It's the way that, as I say, a coach or a nutritionist would in a sports setting, for example.
Well, in all your software experience with the Primary Growth Partnership Fund that funded FarmIQ in its 7-year program, and it had to be commercial when it hit after into year 8, was there enough money realistically spent? And to follow up, was it spent well if it was too much?
I think that probably the right amount of money was spent, and look, we've got challenges in terms of how we embrace the future opportunities that have presented themselves to FarmIQ, and that's going to be around opening up the platform to be significantly more open to support things around sort of the environmental compliance and other farm planning compliance that farmers are going to have on their plate before too long. We've got a terrific foundation, but that is definitely one of the challenges we have to deal with is looking forward and being future focused to see where's the market going, where's regulation going, where is the compliance conversation going, and how do we leverage the investment in the technology that's been made to date so that we can deliver a meaningful product to farmers that helps make that burden go away. Because no farmer wants to do all that compliance work. And if we, by virtue of the fact that we're already pulling lots of different data sources together, can then represent that back to the farmer so that they immediately meet their compliance obligations without having to do a great deal of extra work, that's where we'll really start to leverage that early investment in the platform. So the foundations are there, but we've still got some work to do.
Minister O'Connor's singular farm plan must be attractive to the concept of supporting FarmIQ for pulling all these things together. And this is with regards to everything from biosecurity through to environmental and labour, etc. So where does, good and best look like for you coming into this new role? It's always the best time to, in terms of enthusiasm and passion. Please share it with us where FarmIQ can be when it does operate at its absolute vision that it was set out to do.
So the joy of the background that we came from, the fact that we were publicly funded in those early years through government money, means that since the beginning, the farmer has always been at the centre of what FarmIQ has done, it's focused on benefit to the farmer and being an agnostic technology platform. So it doesn't matter if you have two competing vendors or suppliers or part of the supply chain contributing data into the platform. It's for the benefit of the farmer, and those organizations continue to have their competitive advantage defined by what they do elsewhere in the market. By contributing data into the pool, they're contributing to this ubiquitous pool of data that helps farmers improve and lift their game. A rising tide lifts all boats, and so that's the unique opportunity and the unique position that FarmIQ is in, is to be that independent, agnostic data provider at the centre of the agricultural sector, it would be great if the minister's plans were to include something like FarmIQ, but of course, right now that's a political pledge. It's not a piece of government policy.
Where is the carrot and not the stick, Will? You've said here in the article when you spoke to Colin from Farmers Weekly that you want more in your business to get into the gumboots of farmers and understand behind the farm gate and around their challenges for uptake. How are you going to be able to overcome those barriers of behaviour change? Because that's really the stumbling block.
I think it's a matter of education, and that this isn't a challenge, and we need to understand that better, and that's why there's this commitment to us getting, as I say, into farmers' gumboots, behind the farm gates, and our team do that. Just last week, a team of our developers. So these are guys who typically spend all of their time at a desk in an office in Wellington, staring at a computer screen, ripping code. Some of them have never been out onto a farm. They don't know. They've never had that hands-on connection to what they're designing for. And conveniently, when they were on their farm visit last week, up north with on the farm of brother of Jock, our GM of sales and customer success, there was driving rain, there was mud up to their ankles, and the farmer was showing how the app actually works in reality, literally in a yard, up to their knees, or not to their knees, up to their ankles in mud, in driving rain. And all of a sudden you get these guys going, I now get that, one, farmers often have fingers the size of sausages, and it's not that easy to use an app when you're in the driving rain with covered in mud, trying to press a tiny little button. So it's things like that about making sure that we're designing the interface of this thing for the farmer so that they want to use it because it actually makes their life easier. Whilst the notepad is the most convenient thing to use, they'll continue going back to the notepad. So we have to get to a point, as you say, of giving them a utility that is better than the notepad.
Well, I'm not going to critique as you've come into this new role, but I'm saddened that it's taken 10 years to work that out. And can I suggest that you stick around and listen to our next interview with the chair from Beef and Lamb, Andrew Morrison. His confidence levels have fallen to the lowest levels since 2017, and a few things your developers might be able to pick up on the environment that farmers and growers are faced with. But before you leave, we are talking around reality shows. I do want to generate a couple of comments. What is your favourite reality show, or do you just absolutely hate them? Is the last thing that you would want to watch? Well,
we are a bit of a sucker in our household for MasterChef, and there's also a building show which I can't remember the name of, where they have teams renovating each other's houses.
Is this called Changing Rooms on BBC with Lawrence Roderick? I'm just reading his Wikipedia, so we're talking about it in the break.
No, it is with Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen, but it's not Changing Rooms. That was the show that he used to be in back in the UK. Oh. But MasterChef for us. And House Rules, that's what it's called, House Rules.
You don't want to watch MasterChef when you're hungry and you haven't had dinner. It's
Absolutely
terrible.
not.
Hey, thank you so much, Will Noble, the new Chief Executive coming into FarmIQ.
This is Sarah's Country.